Welcome to the Nativity Podcast, where we give listeners a behind-the-scenes look into the life of our active Catholic parish here in Burke, Virginia. How can we help you grow in your own faith? Listen to find out.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nativity Podcast. I am your host, Father Ed Bresnahan, parochial vicar here at our wonderful parish in Nativity in Burke, Virginia. And with me, as always,
your Director of Social Media, Mary Castellano.
We are so glad to have you. We are cruising and crushing through season 3 of our podcast. Mary, can you believe we've worked through 3 seasons already?
No,
this is amazing. We've had so many wonderful guests, and we have an exciting one today because today is the first day that we've had sort of an offshoot of a group we've already interviewed.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you may recall, mayhaps you may recall that all the way back in our very first pilot episode, we brought Jim McDaniel on board back when we didn't know anything.
No.
We didn't know what we were doing. We vaguely had an understanding of how to spell the word podcast. And in that moment, we had Jim McDaniel, and we talked about all of the service that we do to the wonderful country of Haiti through Operation Starfish. And today, we are blessed to have Meg Hanrahan and... why am I blanking?
Melinda
Engelbrektsson. Okay, in the back of my mind, I was like Engelbrektsson, but I actually got it right because there's like...
That is how you pronounce your name, right?
It is.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And how many letters are there?
14.
Oh,
wow.
Man. She's got me by 9. There are 9 in Bresnahan, 14 in Engelbrektsson. So that was what caught me. Nice. But we are so glad, so glad to have you ladies on. These ladies are from a group called Stella Marina, Latin for sea star, starfish.
Star of the Sea.
Star of the Sea.
Yeah.
Nice. Which fits beautifully with the work that they do. So we're gonna be ladies. We are so excited to have you guys on today. I guess we got to start with a very obvious question. What since it's beach themed and we're thinking starfish today, right? When I go to the beach, there's so many fun things to do. But I guess just a good question, just a question to throw out to everybody is, what is that thing at the beach that you just love to do? Or maybe it's like a beach that you go to, but like what's that place and what's that thing, what's that vibe that just makes the beach perfect for you?
Mm-hmm. So for me, I would say I love to be at the beach at the end of the day, like around 5 o'clock. The crowds have kind of gone, the sand's kind of cool, sit there with a chair, my feet in the sand, and a book. And I'll say to my family, I'm going to read my book, and they all know I'm going to fall asleep. But perfect to me. Perfect.
That's so genius.
Nice.
It's so genius to tell them that you're going to read a book, and then just the real vibe is just to actually just relax.
They know. They know it. They know it. As soon as I say I'm going to read a book, they all know. They're like, you're going to take a nap. But that's
code.
The coolness of the sand and the quiet of the beach, and it's just a perfect way to end the day after being at the beach all day.
I love it.
Perfect.
Melinda, what about you?
I like sitting under an umbrella and watching the people walk by. I like walking up on the beach with my kids and my husband and just enjoying quiet. It's something very relaxing about watching the ocean.
Something rhythmic about it. It's like the original kind of ASMR or whatever, that kind of like, that like soothing noises that's supposed to kind of help your mood and everything. Just the kind of routine of the wave crashing in and, kind of the gentle call of gulls. I say the gentle call until somebody brings, it's always a cacophony.
When they swoop in
to steal in someone's food.
I love it. For me, I don't know about you, Mary, but for me, it's always been like, I'm such a people watcher, and I don't know why. I always love watching families and folks sitting on one of those benches up on the boardwalk, and just you get like maybe some good mozzarella sticks or some kind of just I don't know, like just beach food, right? Do you know what I mean? There's like just beach food. Taffy, classic. And you just sit there, there's grotto pizza. Just the only place they have them are at beaches. And you just sit there and you're watching all of the different things, the people going by. You've got like families dragging their kid, from, the one that so desperately wanted one more game at the arcade, or, you just got families that are just so happy. It's just so full of life and just all different walks, and just being able to see, for me, it's also part of it is just kind of imagining, I wonder what these people are up to. I wonder like what their families like. I wonder what's, I wonder what brings them to the beach. Like where is it like that they're escaping from?
Yeah, what's the story behind them kind of?
So I love imagining all that. It's just a great place to just kind of daydream and just kind of be.
Nice. For me, it's kind of cliche because I'm like the parish photographer, so this is like such an obvious answer. But in recent years, if I'm on the East Coast at a beach, then I'll try to intentionally wake up with the sunrise and photograph it. I didn't do that as a kid. There was no way I would wake up past 9 as a kid. But if I were to be on a beach on the West Coast, I would try to photograph the sunset. I haven't been on the West Coast with my camera yet, but one day will happen. But yeah. That's like my like favorite thing right now to do at the beach is to photograph either the sunrise or the sunset.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you've got a good camera and a good eye for it, I bet they come out really well.
It's more challenging than it sounds because like landscape photography is not my thing. So like it's definitely been a process for me to get used to. But yeah, but it is really fun. It's like after I got my shots, I'm like, I don't care what the rest of the day looks like. I got the shots that I wanted.
That's amazing. Well, so almost a year and a half ago, when we interviewed Jim McDaniel, he told us the story of this starfish, and he told us the idea of the goal of the program is to help. If it helps just one person, then it's done its job.
Yeah.
But we haven't just helped one person with this organization. This organization has done so much. And ladies, you guys are here with a branch of the organization, I guess is the best way to describe it. So like help us understand and help the parish understand what is Stella Marina? Like how do we get to Stella Marina? And what's sort of the connection between Stella Marina and the whole starfish operation?
Well, I'll start because I'm the one who initially went to Jim with the idea, but it was basically seeing stuff on Facebook from the Fish for Hope group, which is another offshoot of Operation Starfish. And I saw something on Facebook. It was a picture of some older men and older women who were midwives. And it just, for whatever reason, that photo just stuck with me. And so I reached out to Jim because he's the head of Operation Starfish and said, hey, I would like to do something for the midwives. No idea what I wanted to do. And he said, okay, I'll put you in touch with someone. And then he reached out to Melinda.
And I had been there in 2008 and had been working for Operation Starfish on behalf of Operation Starfish since then. And I just always wanted to do more and more and more. And Jim knew my backstory, and he thought, oh, okay. So he put us in touch, and we met, and it was, our stories are very, very similar. Meg has 3 daughters. I have 3 daughters. I almost died in childbirth. Meg almost died almost at the same time. And it was just meant to be.
Yeah.
And so we just, worked with Jim on formulating a doable project, and he pointed us in the right direction. And here we are 8 years later.
Yeah. So Jim still oversees us and oversees our project. If we ever have any questions,
sure.
We joke around and say we're going to talk to Dad. He's our dad who watches over us, make sure we do the right thing. So he kind of helps us. Also, too, when we started working with Food for the Poor, figuring out we didn't even know what we were going to do, right? Putting us in touch with the doctor that Nativity supports, Dr. Macklin, at one of our clinics. So he really helped instrument and kind of was our instrument in getting us together and helping us start. And then based on our stories and stuff, we just kind of learned together how to do it and what we were going to do. And
part of the draw, or part of the almost eye-opening moment is if we live in one of the best healthcare systems in the world, and we've got 2 women in our parish who almost died in childbirth, how much more dangerous is it for women to give birth in, say, a third world country like Haiti? It must be astronomically more difficult.
Well, first of all, most births don't occur in a hospital like they do here, right? So most of them are occurring with a midwife. And when we say midwife, that is not a trained woman, that maybe women who've heard this had a midwife, right? It's a woman who's gone to college or other programs and becomes a trained. No, these are people in the community, typically uneducated. As we said, they're men and women who feel they have a calling from God to help the women in their community. And they just help them give birth. And so it's very dangerous. They could be on a dirt ground. They don't have clean instruments or materials. So in Haiti has the highest maternal mortality rate in the Western Hemisphere. Wow. And we focus on having a clean birth, and about 20% of those deaths are because it is an unsanitary they get an infection, either the mother or the baby get an infection through the birthing process because it's not clean.
So what we're really talking about here is being able to figure out one massively important need and something that we might be able to help with using stuff that we can just buy in a supermarket, right? Something that we have relatively easy access to. We're not talking about major medical equipment, right, to create a sanitary environment.
There are a few things, scalpels, umbilical clamps, that we have to have a doctor and have their license on file with a certain medical supply company in order to get the scalpels. But beyond that, no. But it's just those few things that are put, about 11 items that are put in a 2-gallon Ziploc bag and given to someone can help save 2 lives.
What are the items?
It's a 2-gallon Ziploc bag that you use at the beginning to hold the products and then at the end to put everything back in after it's used. There's a large sheet of plastic that we use, that we have volunteers that cut 3x5 piece of plastic to create a safe birthing, clean birthing space, a chuck pad, sterile gloves, a bar of soap, a scalpel, 2 umbilical clamps, nasal aspirator, gauze, and alcohol pads.
Did you guys also have blankets, like baby
That's
swaddling
newborn
blankets?
kit.
Yeah.
Ah, okay,
that was
okay,
an
gotcha.
add-on.
I'm getting these confused.
Yes, that came out later after the birthing kits. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So 11 items, relatively simple. I mean, a nasal aspirator is something that you can just buy at a CVS, right? It's just like a little, little bulb syringe type thing, yeah. And I mean, talking 3x5 piece of plastic, right? I mean, these are not hugely. It's not hugely expensive. No. It's not the kind of thing that. What's the word? It's, I think sometimes in a lot of charitable cases or a lot of people doing work for these places, you're talking about almost sometimes having very expensive equipment to ship down, right? I think about sort of the way and the sort of different things that we're sending to Ukraine, some of it military, but also some of it humanitarian. I just think of there's, tons and tons of just stuff, but then we're talking, like you said, a 2-gallon Ziploc bag. This is amazing, right? So how is it, what is it that the organization, what is it that Stella Marina does to sort of help make sure that we have those things, and how do we get them there?
Yeah.
Well, some of it is, and we don't really do it, but we kind of say fundraising, right? We need the funds to do it. So when we started, we asked groups to raise the money. If they wanted to do a kit build, we told them, you need to raise the money. At the time, we didn't put all these things in the kits. They were more about $2 or $3 per kit. And those groups would raise the money. We would buy the supplies. We would go there and help them build it. And as Stella Marina has grown, we've been blessed with getting more and more donations so that we can buy the supplies ourselves. So if a group, say I know the high school ministry has asked to do, and they've done, they don't have to raise money to do it, right? We have the money and the can buy the supplies. We've been blessed with Food for the Poor, has put us as a priority, and they reach out to certain donors, and they will donate us money. So we'll get $10,000 at a time or $20,000 at a time. So that will keep us going for a couple of builds with different groups. So
How many birthing kits do you all make nowadays in one kind of build or one campaign, if you will?
1,500 is our average.
Wow.
When we started, we were small. We do
Right.
We do 100 and then 500, and then we're like, let's think big.
yeah.
And so we do. So almost 20,000 birthing kits is what we've made, which is actually about the annual, that is the number of midwife-assisted deliveries that occur in the Cap Haitian area in northern Haiti in 1 year.
Wow.
So we have a lot of, we've got to catch up because that's over the course of almost 8 years. We've only built 20,000. We need to ramp it up. So we are blessed that we have the means to do that, and we're now spreading the word with other churches, and other churches are calling us, and they want to start. And so they're starting small. One church is doing newborn kits, another church is doing birthing kits. So the word is spreading, and it will happen in other parts of Haiti as well, which is wonderful.
Yeah, these other churches, when they do it, they might have a village already in Haiti that they support, or a clinic. So it's not, they don't bring it to us. They want to learn, what do you put in it? How do you do it? How do you set up a build? All those sorts of things, so that they can do it and send it to their village. And that's our goal, is the more places that they can be used to save the mother and the child.
It's about the product that's inside the 2-gallon bag, not the stamp that's on the outside, right?
That's right.
Exactly. And that's our motto, making a difference one baby at a time.
Yeah, I love the shirts that you all designed.
And that was Meg's husband. He did our logo, and yeah. And
So now we've talked a little bit about these birthing kits and the idea of having a clean, safe birth. But then a couple of times we've thrown in a couple of these things, this newborn kit. What's the difference between a birthing kit and a newborn kit? And how did that happen?
Well, the difference is the birthing kit is something that really will save their lives, right? That's our goal on that, was to save the mother and the baby's life. The newborn kit is almost just like a little bonus for the mother. They have nothing for their children. And when we have children, you have a baby shower and you get all this stuff. It's crazy. So one of our other members of our group was thinking about, well, could we maybe do a newborn kit? We thought, well, why not? And so we put in there a onesie, a receiving blanket. We cut those flannel black tablecloths to use as a diaper pad. We give a washcloth and 2 cloth diapers and diaper pins. And we put that in back so that when the mother gives birth, here's a little something for your baby. So that's one thing that we do. And there are a lot of other things we've added.
We, a couple of years ago, thought, wait a minute, we've given them a good delivery, we've given the baby clothes, now where are they going to put the baby? Mm-hmm. So we had a volunteer write to Graco, I believe, and got 100 of the front packs so they can carry the babies.
Oh, wow.
Like the baby Bjorns, like type of thing.
Oh,
like
sure,
that's
carriers.
Yeah, the baby.
Pack.
Yeah.
So that's great. Strollers, it could do nothing there. The surface is not conducive with pushing a stroller, but carrying the baby. Then we thought, okay, we need to take it one step further. Where are they going to sleep? Where does an infant sleep? Well, wherever the mother sleeps, generally. So we thought, pack and plays. They fold up 12 inches square, basically. They can be moved anywhere. Mm-hmm. So we started just collecting gently used pack and plays. We have a member of our team now that collects them from wherever people want to donate them from, here or wherever, opens them, makes sure they're clean, they're operable, puts in a clean pack and play sheet if there's not one, and then a little lovey toy, and gets all closed up. We've sent probably 300 or 400 pack and plays.
Easily.
So then we had a brainstorm one day. We're like, wow, how can we get more things that are needed? Amazon wish list. So pack and play is on there. People ship directly to the church. It's fantastic. So those are new. We also get cloth diapers are on our list, onesies and receiving blankets. So people from anywhere that happens upon our project and sees our website can see, they have a wish list. They can go on and send things. Mm-hmm. So it's grown beyond just Virginia and Burke. Mm-hmm. It's nationwide, and anybody can help support. So
that's fantastic.
I know that it's so
cool.
Amazing.
It is funny. So for those of you for our wonderful loyal listeners, we have a very funny sort of setup here in the office, because when you first come into the office and you turn right, I'm the first office on that you come upon, but all in front of my office is where all of the packages, for the entire, for everything. So, once a week, the bulletins come in and take up a chunk. Once in a while, the parish documents, things that are going out to the whole parish, they'll come in, somebody will, drop something off, right? Or an occasional Amazon package for me is very exciting, right? But regularly, there is just a ton. I wish I could just describe to you. I only get about half of the hallway space. Right, I can only use about half the hallway space, because the rest of it is just completely completely covered with pack and plays and with giant boxes marked Stella Marina.
That's right. Everything is marked Stella
Marina.
Marina.
Everything is like, oh, here's a box. And then you kind of excitedly, just like, most people on Christmas, they kind of look to see whether the package is for them or not. And they go in, they get excited. Whoa, Stella. Oh, that's Stella Marina. And it's always Stella Marina. So it's always very funny, but it's also very heartening, like you said, because it's, they can just Amazon wish list it. People can just donate and the program just grows. And it's nice to be able to see the fruit of that, right? It's nice to be able to see the fruit of that growing.
And we're very grateful that Nativity Church is so supportive of our project. It's just, we couldn't do what we do without the church and their support for time, for giving us, opportunities to talk at Mass, and hear people who work on our program. We have
and getting the space too. We need space sometimes to do these builds, or coordinate it with a donut Sunday so people can do it. And then of course people in the office ordering the supplies for us, making sure we have everything. Again, allowing us to have all the supplies delivered here. Initially, they were sent to our homes, and let me just say, our garages got full very quickly, so we pivoted. And thankfully, everything can get delivered here now. And
it
we're
literally
very thankful.
takes a village
it
to
does.
do what we do.
I believe it
We could
wholeheartedly.
not do it.
And that is super evidenced by the kit builds themselves. It's been really incredible to, like, after the 9 or the 11 o'clock mass on like a donut Sunday or something, and you all set up in the cafeteria, and you set it up like a conveyor belt. Is that the best way, or what's the word?
Assembly line.
Assembly line. You set it up like an assembly line, and the way you do it, it's very logical. Like, you can, like, on your way down, for anyone who's been to our church, you can kind of picture this in your head, but I'll try to explain it for anyone who's not familiar with our church. You come down the stairs, and then you have to go through our cafeteria in order to get to our gym, in order to get to Donut Sunday and socialize and get your coffee. And so the way these ladies have set it up is you kind of go around the table. It's very natural to the other side of the room, and as you're walking, you're assembling the kit. And it's so proficient. It's great. It's such a wonderful way to get the whole family, people of multiple ages, just kind of involved in this project. And it looks like that's kind of like the easiest way that your build happens, right?
Yeah. And I will say, the nice thing, I think a lot of people are very generous at this parish. We're very blessed with a very generous parish, and people, financially. But people often want to give something of their time, or feel like they did something other than just writing a check or putting $20 in or whatever it is. And we appreciate that. But we get it too, where people want to do something. And so in some ways we give them that opportunity, even if it's their 3-year-old can come in and make a kit. They feel like they've done something for somebody else.
We've even this year we got phrases in Creole and printed them off and laminated them. So we have a table set up with index cards and crayons and colored pencils. So when children come in, they can copy the phrase, God loves you, bless your baby, we love you, onto a card, and it goes in the kit. And if they're too small to write, they can draw a picture. They can just color. And so we want everybody to be able to participate beyond putting a thing in, something handmade that then they can keep. It's all about hands-on.
Yeah.
It's something everybody can do, children, adults. I mean,
it's funny how somebody will go through the line, and next thing you're like, well, you want to make it? Yeah, let's make another one. Because it's, like you said, Mary, it's set up to make it so easy, and it takes seconds, really. If you just go down the line and put something in, it takes maybe a minute. And I think they realize, well, we can make another one. That wasn't so hard. Or even the little kids will say to Mom, I want to make another one. And so they'll go back in line. And
And it's so funny to watch because they really do have exuberant faces. Like the kids putting things together, just the idea of assembling, I think it kind of hones in on every little kid's love of things like Legos. And, they get a chance to build, and they'd see, okay, 2 of these, 4 of these. And then and then the satisfaction of ziplocking something shut, right? Like, it's just fantastic. But I love it because it really is the perfect gift. They'll never know that they saved somebody's life.
Right.
Right. This is a person who did something for the pure joy of doing something and the pure joy of gift. And then the person receiving it has no idea who put it together. Right. I mean, they'll never know that a 3-year-old put this packet together, but then their life is saved and their baby's life is saved by this, chance meeting. I just absolutely love those things, because those are the kinds of stories that when we get to heaven and we get to kind of find out what it was all really about, you get to meet the person whose life who saved your life and the person whose life you saved, and you get to see each other, and that's going to be a thing, right? To be able to see, like, oh, it was a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh.
But even just listening to the mom or the dad with the child or children, and they're telling them, oh, well, what's this for? Why are we doing this? And they're telling them the story of how, in Haiti, children are not necessarily born in a hospital, and they don't have all the trappings that we have here. And so we're doing this to try to help. And so then at COVID, we couldn't do any of this. So we thought, oh my gosh, we were actually getting ready to have a huge kit build. And then everything shut down.
Oh my
like
goodness.
2 days before. So we were devastated. We're like, oh no, what are we going to do? So we didn't do anything for about 6 months. Then we came up with the idea of pre-packaging everything to make 50 kits in a great big contractor bag. People could pick it up at our office at CubeSmart, and all they had to do was drive through. We had somebody let them in the gate. They drove around. They popped their trunk. We were masked and gloved. We put the bag in the back of the car. They closed it. They left. A week later, they came back, repeated the same thing, but we took out the made kits, and everybody loved it. Everybody was home.
Yeah.
They needed something to do, and they did it as a family.
Yep.
And we've actually done it a couple more times since things have opened up in a pinch, because the church was so busy we couldn't get space. We're like, no, we need to build another 1,000 kits before we send our container. So we did that, and it's just...
But part of coming up with that idea was we were like, we can't, babies are still being born in Haiti, so we can't stop it. We can't stop what we've done. But it was, well, how are we going to do that? Well, we can't do it outside. Like, all these things you're trying to think, we can't do it outside, what are we going to do? And then,
we think outside the box.
We're like, all right, there's got to be some way. So we
did it.
Yeah. I mean, I had to do my wedding prep outside with people. I mean, it's not like people were not getting married or anything like that. They just had to figure things out. Yeah. So you think outside the box. Now, speaking of box, because this is going to be an interesting segue. But speaking of box, there were two things that you mentioned that I don't think we've necessarily honed in on about the sort of dedication that people have, and they both have to do with box. One is CubeSmart and one is container. So how did this happen? How do we get from just the idea of making birthing kits to the where they get stored and how they get transferred and how do you
shipped to Haiti?
Yeah, and shipped to Haiti. Because this is a whole process that's in addition to just simple birthing kits and newborn kits.
And all about
Sure do.
The end part of this whole story.
I always come in right after they've finished loading up the container. I try to make it so that they only have like one more box that I can pretend to help with. Yeah. So I did my part.
It's a good photo op, right?
Yeah, good
photo. The first time I went, it didn't work very well because they still had another hour and a half to go to finish loading up the container. But the second time I showed up and it was like 2 minutes late, they were calling me. They'd given me a time to show up and they finished a half an hour early. So by the time I showed up, they were like, well, where you been? so far I haven't gotten lucky on either end of it. But anyway, so tell us a little bit about how this process came about.
Well, we started in our garages, actually, with supplies, and
finished kits, and it was
a
like
lot.
You said, we outgrew our spaces,
and then finally we realized this was not working, so we figured we needed storage space, and I can beg with the best of them for anybody. For anybody, I will beg. And I went up to CubeSmart and I walked into the office and I introduced myself to the manager and I said, this is what we do, and we are in need of storage space. Is there anything that you can do do you have anything reasonably priced? Of course, I was actually hoping it would be free. And she said, well, let me see. And she said, actually, yes, we do. And she gave us an 8x10 unit for free. And she said, can you just pay the insurance, which was about $24 a month? Absolutely. Thank you very much. It actually moved me to tears. And I think I caught her off guard because she didn't know what to do. I was standing there crying. But anyway, so that was our first unit. And then they gave us another. So we still have that. And then about a year later, she gave us a 10x30 downstairs. Just pay the insurance on it. And in a pinch, we've had to rent on our own a few more units just to get through until
sometimes it's just,
until we send the container. Yeah. But I also have to mention Interstate Van Lines over on Rolling Road. We again were running out of space for our finished product, already boxed and ready to go, and a lot of medical supplies and wheelchairs and things. And so I called Interstate Van Lines and we arranged a meeting, and we went over there and we met with the president of the company, and he said, yeah, just tell me what you want. I'll give you whatever you want. And so anytime we need additional storage space, they give us a 50-foot truck over at their facility. Anytime.
Wow.
Anytime.
Wow.
Except May to September, which is their peak season. We
we
totally
get that.
understand.
We totally understand.
But we can have a unit, a truck over there for 8 months at a time, and it's on their property. It's safe. Anything we need, they give it to us anytime. They also supply all of our cardboard boxes that we load our kits into free of charge.
Wow.
So it literally takes a community to make this project work, and we are blessed beyond belief.
I think it speaks to, it's the power. I mean, obviously God is working, right? Because
Totally.
God doesn't move in the hearts of people with just an everyday thing. I mean, he works in these beautiful little moments, but it never hurts to ask, does it?
Yeah.
All they can say is no.
Yeah,
Right.
And
that's
if
the
they
worst,
say
that's right.
yes, it's everything to
Yeah.
gain, and it's not for us. It's for the voiceless people.
Yeah.
I
in
have to tell
Haiti.
people this all the time. Anybody, young people who are raising money for like work camp or some kind of an event, people who are trying to recruit other people, inviting people to church, evangelizing, or even just something simple as, hey, will you join me on this project? Right? It never hurts to ask, right? Like you said, the least they can say is, what are they going to say? No?
Okay.
Oh, darn.
Okay.
I've got other places to go.
Yeah.
Right? But what a beautiful thing when they say yes and you have this incredible situation, right?
They do.
I always laugh because the two times that I've gone over to bless the container, there's almost a camaraderie among the people who are like celebrating the driver. They're like, hey, Father, hey, this is Simeon, our driver. He's our driver. He's like, and this is the guy that's going to be driving all the way down to the port of Miami.
Actually, they go to Newark.
They go to New Jersey.
Oh, so he drives to New
Great
Jersey.
place
How
to
about
go.
that? Exactly.
To go to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And loads that container on the ship, and then and then gets it.
And we're blessed that Food for the Poor is the one who handles all the shipping. So when we're ready to ship, we reach out to our contact there, Miguel, and he, says, all right, we set up a date that will work for us. He gets in contact with the shipping company, make sure we get a truck. We actually had, in the height of the pandemic, we were all set, had everything outside for the truck to show up. It's pouring rain. And because if people know there's a supply chain issue, they couldn't get a truck. And we were on the phone with Miguel saying, oh, we need a truck. He got one for us miraculously. Again, it's the Holy Spirit working. And even though we were loading that truck at 5 o'clock in the dark with flashlights, we got it. But Food for the Poor handles that whole thing, and they pay for it. So the monies that we raise that get donated goes nowhere except to buy the supplies for the kits. That's it.
This is always so important to me, just because so much in the world, when they say, hey, support this company, support this organization, you oftentimes find two things. You find a company with a lot of overhead. And so part of the money that you're trying to donate doesn't actually go to the source. It goes to the overhead, the bureaucracy, the bill, and all of that. So, maybe a fraction of what you're paying goes to the service you're trying to get to. But, and then the other one is that sometimes a lot of these organizations that will take money, then it's an umbrella. So it's like, we then disperse money to projects we like. But in that case, it always feels like you're not really helping the actual place, the place on the ground. But this is totally different, right? 100% of what goes to Stella Marina, 100% of what you offer goes straight to Stella Marina, right? Nobody takes a paycheck. Nobody, So it's what a beautiful way of being able to practice that social justice, 100% connected to helping these folks in Haiti. And I understand that there's one more thing that I would be surprised if we didn't talk about, that you actually inspired another group, or was it with Stella Marina, where one of the daughters, not one of your daughters, but one of the daughters of one of the women in Stella Marina, helping with Stella Marina, started a project with napkins or
reusable sanitary pads.
Yeah, because that was another element of
Webley, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
So that's something that we encourage young people who are looking for service projects to reach out to us. And there was a parishioner's daughter who reached out to us, and she wanted to do her Girl Scout Gold Award. And so she did. And it's still going on. And we actually have a parishioner now who is trying to organize here at church a weekly time where people can come in. She's spoken with the Girl Scout, Catherine, and who's now in college. And they're working together, and this woman is trying to start this here at the church, where she'll get women together with their sewing machines on a weekly basis and make these. So, and we will use them in our kits.
Perfect.
But I think the other important thing to mention about what we do is we also train midwives. So we partner with Fair Oaks Hospital, and we use their labor and delivery simulation lab. And we take somebody who's on our team that went with us the first time to Haiti, our only time so far. And she is Haitian by birth, and she's a parishioner here. And we go to the simulation lab, and we film different scenarios. They have a dummy mom and a dummy baby, and it's all controlled with an iPad. And we record these things and segments, and they're translated into Creole there. And then we upload them to the cloud. And Dr. Macklin brings in our midwives in 2 or 3 different segments, groups, for training every couple of months. And the cost of that is also underwritten by a very generous parishioner here at Nativity. So they are provided with tap money, which is taxi in Haiti, so to get them there, because it's quite a distance for a lot of them. And then also they're provided with a hot lunch and drink. Fun fact, I saw pictures that Dr. Macklin sends us after all the training, and nobody was eating or drinking the meal. It was kept, and so I had to ask. I said, why aren't they eating and drinking the meal? He said, oh no, they take it home and they share it with their families at home. They don't eat it there. So anyway, we are training the midwives, and when we did go down, we also trained them on infant CPR, how to do infant CPR. They assumed if a baby was born and it didn't breathe immediately, it was dead. Not always the case. So we train them on infant CPR, and we also train them on how to use the bulb syringe, the nasal aspirator. They didn't know how to do that either. And it was amazing to sit and or stand and watch as they rotated through the different tables and learning this. And they just took right to it. And so the fact that we can help educate and give them the materials that they need to have safe deliveries, it's a gift from God, and it's something we
Yeah, it's really beautiful. I mean, it's so evident. I mean, I don't even have to ask, like, why do you all keep continuing this kind of ministry? Like, it's so obvious. I mean, you all can't see this is not being video recorded, but just the joy on your faces. It's so genuine. It's so real and authentic. And that's one of the reasons why I love supporting this ministry, and I love, every opportunity I get to photograph it. Like, I've seen the birthing kits and the newborn kit builds, and you've invited me a couple times to to photograph the when you load the what's it called, the
Container.
containers. Like that takes a village. I'm surprised you guys haven't mentioned how many people it takes to load all of
God
the
bless
stuff.
the Knights of Columbus, and because a lot of times, remember when usually it's done during the week,
Yeah.
so people work, so it's hard. But a lot of times it's some of the retired guys from the Knights of Columbus who are great organizers and packers, and they get in that truck and they load it up and they figure out where everything should go, and no smaller boxes now, and we all get the smaller boxes to the truck, and
Reliving their Tetris days.
Yes, it is.
And then a priest from Nativity, the past couple of times, it's been Father Bresnahan, comes and gives
Blesses.
a beautiful blessing. And we do, like you said, always include the driver.
Yeah.
And one of our times, we asked the driver to come out, and he said, well, what are you doing? And we told him, and he just, tears filled his eyes. And his family had come from Haiti and brought him, and his name was Christian, and brought them, he and his siblings, to the United States for a better life. So you just never know. It's just God moments here and there, and it's just like, thank you, God. We know you're with us, but boy, is it nice to just see that connection. And
I think it is funny because, again, we're not videotaping this, but like when we talked about the beach, they were excited, but when we started talking about Stella Marina, their eyes have like lit up. It's pretty funny to watch. It's pretty exciting.
You guys have touched a little bit on some of the challenges. Maybe you could just kind of share that a little bit more, because it sounds like this is all amazing stuff, really, really good, positive things. Like, what are some of the challenges that you all have faced, like aside from maybe the pandemic?
Yeah, I would say our biggest challenge is space.
Okay.
That is our biggest challenge. CubeSmart has donated us 2 units, which are great, but we are bursting at the seams at times.
Wow.
Where we then, will rent a unit, or before the last shipping container, we rented 2 extra units just to hold the finished product, because we have so many donations and other things in our unit. Usually when we send a truck, we get donations from other groups. Medical missionaries in Manassas will bring over stuff. We had another group that was from Charlottesville this time. So they bring their stuff. Well, we had nowhere to put it. We're like, we have to put it, so we have to rent more space. So that's our biggest challenge, is just finding a bit. And it's not space that volunteers can work at. So then we have to say, is there room at the church? Not always. Now that the pandemic's over, there's no room at the church. Which is wonderful. There's so many.
There's no room at the church.
There's so much going on at the parish, but then it means that there's not room necessarily for us to do what we need to do. So, in our dreams, if there's anyone out there who can help us, in our dreams would be to have some commercial space that we could have set up, a storeroom with all our supplies in there, maybe another storeroom, another space where we have all the finished product that's ready to be boxed and ready to go, and then workspace where volunteers can come in and cut plastic or make reusable sanitary pads, or count out things of 50, because we try to keep all know what all our supplies are like, and all that stuff, get all that work done for us in a safe space. Not that CubeSmart's not safe. It is. It's just very small and tight, and the lights will go out if you don't move around. So then you're running down the hall. It's not a very good space to have a lot of volunteers. It's fine if Melinda and I are in there doing things, or one other person's in there, but you can't have a lot of people in there.
Well, like
that's
you
probably
said,
our biggest challenge.
It's only set up to be storage.
That's
it's
right.
not set up
That's
to be a
right.
workspace.
No.
So it is funny to watch, because you guys have like a huge, like, it'll all be out in the parking lot of a CubeSmart. It's like people have just dumped everything out there. There's just, chair, like high chairs, bedpans, boxes
Wheelchairs.
everywhere,
Yeah,
wheelchairs, just everything all over the place, just like absolutely all over the place. And then that all came from somewhere, and somebody had to haul that over. So it would be pretty nice to be able to have a space that's able to do something like that.
Yeah.
So
It would, but now we deliver to people's homes if they want to do things.
That's
or,
true.
Or they'll meet me here, or come by CubeSmart and pick things up. So it's a challenge, but we
always find a way to work it
we
out.
do. We do, and people are still working for the cause, and young, old, there's something for everybody to do. Which is kind of the beauty of it.
Yeah.
That is something really beautiful about this ministry. There is literally something that everyone can do.
And it's not, I think, initially people might think, Stella Marina, it's about births and midwives. Oh, that must be a women thing. But we have a lot of men who help out. And I would say probably we have a newborn kit drive every July. And at that Mass, we have somebody who speaks about Stella Marina. I want to say like we out of
Twice,
the 5 times,
I think
3
we've
have been
had
men.
men, yeah.
We've had
Mm-hmm.
3
we have
men and
3.
only 2 women.
Yeah.
We've had 3. So, I mean, men are huge participants and huge supporters of this as well.
Yeah.
And there's
So-
no reason they can't be.
Right, of course. You know, there's
They have a valuable part in
That's
birthing
right.
of a baby.
It does feel like an all hands on deck thing. It feels
is.
like an
Oh, it
all
is.
hands on deck.
Yeah.
There's always something.
Yeah.
So actually, this is a great question because how can people get involved in it? How do people get a hold of you?
Well, the ministry fair is one way. If it's time for a ministry fair, that's way. We have a website that they can go to, and our emails are on there. They can reach out to us.
Is it stellamarina.com?
It's that's a restaurant in Asbury Park, New Jersey,
Oh.
on the boardwalk.
How about that?
If you're ever there,
I've never been to that restaurant. I've just been sitting on the bench across the street from it.
it's www.stellamarina.org.
Yeah.
And you can also come to the Nativity,
Website.
nativityburke.org website, and we're off of that as
On
well.
the ministries page, yeah. So you
Mm-hmm.
can, and it has our emails there, and you just email. We put you on a list, and we have a large list. There's about 400 volunteers on the list, and we keep that updated. And then we will send out signups when we have events because we'll need. I mean, even when we do a Donut Sunday, we need volunteers to help keep the supplies up, and not just make the kits, but be there to help the parishioners and help set up and break down and get things. So we'll send that out to all the people on the list. And there are other opportunities. If we have just something small, we said, we might need just 10 people to help cut plastic, and we'll put that out there, and people can sign up, and we'll do that. So, and we use flock notes too to
Yeah.
share information.
Yeah, and people can always donate. I mean, if that's one way, like you were saying, that they can assemble, they can buy the supplies on their own time at home at their own convenience, and then deliver it to you or wherever. But yeah, there's a lot of things that people can do behind the scenes to get involved.
And we also have people that donate children's summer clothes. We also collect children's summer clothes 0 to 3T, and then the women down there have a swap. So we pre-bag it and ship it down, and then it's given out to somebody in the community who's trustworthy and can handle this. And you walk in with 5 things that your child's outgrown, you can take 5 things away. So we have people leaving summer clothes here all the time, and maternity clothes and all kinds of different things. So we're also trying to teach them, that they can take and give and take and not have to buy. And people here are very generous. Yeah. So it's
Wow.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, we're of course blown away. It's so funny because as many times as I've interacted with you ladies, it's always so funny because I always feel like I end up learning more. Like I know, it's like, oh, well, they do that too. Of course. Like I'm not even surprised at this point. Which is also funny because just as a completely side note, like these 2 ladies who spend so much time with Stella Marina are also hugely involved in other parts of our church too.
Yes.
Like we may have them on future podcasts for art and environment for Melinda and finance council for Meg, because that is this is not just like the only thing they do, but it has to be one of the most passionate things, if not
for
the
sure.
most passionate.
Oh,
So,
for sure,
yeah.
for sure.
Being able to listen to what our Lord challenges and encourages and calls us to do, and be able to put that into practice, and at the same time being able to invite more people to do the same. What a beautiful moment.
And I think maybe it's appropriate just to say thank you for Meg and Melinda for just being open to that initial call to do something, and just being open to that yes, and giving your yes, kind of like Our Lady did, not really knowing where this is going to lead you. You just know that this is on your heart and this is the right thing to do. So I think that's absolutely beautiful. Like, this is such a prime example of a grassroots ministry effort, and just how much it's grown. I think the fact that your biggest challenge is space is such a good problem.
It's a good problem.
Oh, no.
Yeah, right. I mean, in the scheme of things, that's not a big challenge. I mean,
Yeah.
it can be sometimes when we're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do with all this stuff, right? Where we got to find more space. But yes, right. It's
Yeah.
Oh no, more space.
It's like, oh no, more donations to give to the poor. Oh no.
And I would say when you say like, a lot of times we're like, well, why? God is not always clear, and He doesn't always answer when we ask for Him. I mean, Melinda, you said were in Haiti in 2008, and she kept looking like, where I want to do more, I want to do more, and Jim was always like, you'll find that thing, it'll come, and it did, right?
And that's what he said. He said, listen, pray about it, and listen, and God will lead you there, and He did, and I am just ever
and it
so
took time.
grateful.
We didn't. We
It did
found
take
it.
time.
We founded Stella Marina in 2014. So if she had started,
6 years.
that's 6 years. So I mean, I know when people, we want, why isn't God answering my prayer right away, or why isn't? We have to be patient. And same with me. I was like, I used to do a lot when I was single. And then I got married and had little kids. And I was like, well, why? I felt bad. I'm like, why God? And it was like, hey, you got other things you're working on, right? And as soon as my girls got old enough where I felt like, okay, I have a little bit of extra time, He put it on my heart.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen them come with you.
Oh yeah. It's a family affair, and sometimes not always wanted. I will say, God bless Fairfax County and National Honor Society hours that everybody needs, because it's a good way to get teens to say, like, we tell teens all the time, if you need hours, just send us what we need to sign, or like for confirmation too. I know they have to, but like, we will sign the books for you, no problem. We will give you your hours.
We do.
We're happy to do that. So,
But God never said anything when this life was going to be easy, and that's what I keep thinking. There are no promises. Nowhere did He say it was going to be a cakewalk. Nowhere. And so why should this be any different? Just because it's a really good thing to do and you're saving lives. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a, and so, so we don't have office space. Okay. No. Another 6 years we'll have office space, maybe. I don't know.
We just keep praying for it. Keep
Not
praying
our
for
time,
please.
His time.
I
And
know. I know.
We just go, but neither one of us are patient people, so it's kind of
so
It's
funny.
hard.
But I feel like this is the message. This is such a huge message in the gospel, because at the end of the day, the Lord doesn't judge us on how many birthing kits we've made. It's not a number that we're trying to reach. At the end of the day, it's being able to make those kits because of the goodness of the person who's going to receive that kit, right? And the amount of energy we put in. And God always just simply asks us to make do with what we have. And I think that is just a powerful lesson, because that's it. Like, so we don't have space, but we make do with what we have.
Yeah.
So we need an extra truck every once in a while. We make do with what we have, right? And, one day you might be probably strapped for volunteers. Thankfully, maybe not right now, but...
Or you have to, fill the container at night, in the rain.
In the rain with a flashlight.
flashlights.
I know, right?
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Each day, God's going to present different challenges, but at the end of the day, He's only going to judge us on how we make do with what we have. And I just think that's a beautiful thing. So, but we do tend to be creatures of habit.
Yes, we do.
We do tend to be creatures of habit. So
I know this question.
yeah, exactly.
I know this
If you've heard the podcast,
Yeah, I do.
Melinda, the surprise. We do have a tradition on our podcast that the last question we ask is actually, you've been thinking about this.
Yes, because I knew it was coming. I've listened to all your podcasts, so I know
Melinda's
the
like,
question.
I didn't prepare for this question.
This is fantastic. This is fantastic to watch
I thought
them.
you knew.
This is incredible, friends. All right, so we're creatures of habit, and we love this. This is a tradition we have in our church because we're a community, and we were trying to think of, like, what's a question that everybody's going to be able to resonate with? What's a question that no matter what organization they're a part of, one of the big things is that everybody we've interviewed has been a part of our parish, right? They're all members of our parish. They're all part of our community, and we see them on Sundays.
That's right.
So, but the funny thing is as creatures of habit, we all tend to do the same thing over and over again. So my question for you ladies, where is your seat in the church?
When my family was here and I wasn't a sacristan, it was on the right side, 4th row back from the midway. And I always sat on the aisle because I was a Eucharistic minister in case I needed to get out. But now that my children are gone, I sit on the marble wall right outside under
The marble wall.
on the marble wall
the
right
Maureen
outside
Memorial
the sacristan
section.
because I'm a sacristan. And so if anybody needs anything,
You're right there ready to go.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Ooh, that was an easy one.
Yeah,
That's
it
what
is.
me all
She's
scared.
freaking out, but I'm like, this is it. This is one of the one things that we all know this.
And
We
in
all
this
know,
church,
yeah.
though, it's strategic where you sit.
It is.
For us, it was because of the air vent in the ceiling, and I don't like anything blowing on me. And so we searched. Took us a while, but we landed in that fourth pew right on the right.
No vent. That's hilarious.
So for me, when my girls were little, we sat closer to the front, either like the second row, because I felt, at least for my kids, if they could see something and see what the priest was doing or see what was going on, that would keep their attention, as well as bribing them with dum-dums with, the little lollipops that Father Martin used to hand out. But now, once they got older, we still sit typically on the right-hand side of the before the break, so we're closest to the altar. And we sit, and we're usually like second or third row from the back of that section. And we sit on the right-hand side because my daughters are altar servers. So when they're altar servers, I want to watch them and make sure that, they're doing the right thing or, all that sort of thing. So we tend to sit on that side. If that is taken, we'll sit on the left side, but prefer the right side.
So it's like you'll sit on the left side, but you'll be staring at the people.
Well,
on the right.
it's one of those
the
things
left
where it's like you can't see everybody up there. So I like
So
the right
true.
side a little bit better.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. I think it speaks volumes, right? I mean, like people do it out of, there's a practicality to it, right? Every now and again, you'll get the person who's like, we hide in the back. But everybody's got just different,
Everyone's got a reason
Yeah.
why they choose where they sit. So, and it's really fascinating to figure out what that reason is. It's, it says a little more about you, your family, and your priorities. So I completely forgot that you were a sacristan.
just as another side, another aside,
thing she
another
does.
thing that she does. So,
That's
in case.
amazing.
So, ladies, we are so grateful for having you on our show. Mary, I got to ask you, do you have any shout outs?
How about this? Because I don't know how often they actually go with you, Meg, to your to the kit builds or the container shipping, but because I saw them there that one time, I'll give a shout out to your girls.
Oh, thank you.
Isabella, Katie, and Marisol, just for supporting you in your work, kind of going along with you, and maybe sometimes being dragged a little bit, but still supporting you in this effort. I know that's a big deal when the family is really involved. I just remember it was the very first time you all invited me to photograph the what is it, like the loading of the shipping container in like 2018 or 19. I was very impressed that your whole family was there. And that spoke volumes to me about the kind of the community around this ministry. And I'm like, wow, like one, there are men here. I see that. And there are young people, there are teenagers here. So anyway, so I want to give a shout out to your girls, the Moscato sisters. So, yeah. What about you, Father?
I want to give a shout out to the Legion of Mary. Legion of Mary is an organization in our parish that prays together, but they also do little works of service. And over the past couple of months, I've been saying Mass about once a month at about once a month at each of the nursing homes that we have in the area. And so when we go over to celebrate the Mass over there, sometimes it can be a little chaotic if the nursing home wasn't expecting a priest to come in or trying to figure out how to get all of the residents to come down to the Mass. But what the Legion does is they go in, they're usually there about a half an hour early. They're helping to wheel everybody in who needs wheelchair access. They're kind of setting up for it. So it really makes my job a ton easier, and they're just really just joyful people. So whenever I go in to help the folks at the nursing home, there's always just a joy. The little ladies from the Legion are just happy to assist. So plus, yeah, otherwise I would get so confused because the residents are oftentimes confused. So they're like, we haven't seen you in years. I was here last week. But they're so sweet, and the Legion of the folks that help out with that. So they're wonderful people. I got to give them a shout out for the hard work, and also to know that they're praying for us and the work of the parish and the work of things like Stella. So nice to see everybody working hand in hand. So
Definitely.
Oh my gosh. Well, ladies, thank you as I hit the microphone, you didn't. No, thank God this isn't videotaped. Bam! I'm hitting microphones. I'm all over the place. No, thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. What an absolute joy and a pleasure. Mary, as always, I'm grateful for you. And
I'm grateful for you, Father.
And to our loyal listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember that you can always reach out to us through the parish website, through the general email, the general phone. If you have questions or if you have other things that you'd like to help you get in contact with any of our episodes, any of our ministries.
If you enjoy this episode, please like us, please follow us if you haven't already. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to Nativity Parish Burke. Follow us on social media. We try to put these out once every 2 weeks. Ish.
But even still, I've noticed people have been tuning into the back episodes. People have been figuring out, oh, wait, there's a thing. And we're getting a number of people who are asking how to get involved in some of these organizations. So we know it's working. We're glad you're out there. But like I said, the number one way any of us are going to join an organization, grow closer to Christ in faith, or anything like that, is because somebody asked them or invited them. So reach out. Word of mouth is the number one most effective way to get a hold of somebody.
The worst thing they can say is no.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. Well, with that, loyal listeners and everybody else, we are so grateful for you. Keep us in your prayers and be assured of ours. Thank you, and God bless you.